Since May of 2018, the Mountain Valley Watch has been actively engaged in monitoring construction of the Mountain Valley Pipeline. We've recruited numerous volunteers to observe construction as it's moving forward. And what we're primarily engaged in is watching for erosion control violations. And we have volunteers, drone flights, and fixed-wing airplane flights that we're using to monitor construction. As a result of our observations, we've come up with a top 10 list of violations and things to look for, which I'll go over here briefly, and then we'll show you some pictures of these items that we've taken and documented. And what we're doing is to document violations and then report them to DEQ, to the proper authorities who are in control and administer the erosion control program for the state. This is a state-administered project. They're responsible for inspection of the Mountain Valley Pipeline. So the top 10 list includes: 1, failure to install or delayed installation of erosion and sediment control measures. Item 2 is a deviation from approved erosion and sediment control and construction plans. Item 3, missing, failed, damaged, or properly installed or maintained silt fences, filter socks, or other perimeter control devices. 4, missing, failed, damaged, or improperly constructed right-of-way diversions, water bars, or slope breakers, and outlet structures. 5, we've seen the formation of earthen slips or downslope gullies within or at the perimeter of the construction right-of-way. Number 6, sediment deposition off-site or outside of the permitted limits of disturbance, and there have been several trespass charges for off-site sediment on properties outside of the right-of-way. Number 7, sediment discharge in the streams and wetlands. Number 8, failure to stabilize construction areas, bare ground, and stockpiles of soil or topsoil after active disturbance. Number 9, failure to construct and properly maintain construction entrances. And 10, there's been a failure to contain petrochemicals and spills of gasoline and oil on the site. So with that, let me show you some pictures of what we've seen over the last 6 to 8 months, and as an example of what to look for during construction monitoring. This is a pictorial display of observations made during construction. This is a site, part of the site construction in Franklin County, where you can see that there is the silt fences, the filter socks are being overwhelmed. Sediment is inflowing into the creek. The creek has turned red with mud. This is an obvious violation. If you see something like this, it means the drainage areas are probably too large, and the erosion control measures are not adequate for the site conditions. Here's an example of a silt fence that is overwhelmed, too much drainage area coming to it. This fence is about to collapse, and sediment will be flowing freely downhill into the stream below it. This is a pretty obvious violation of erosion control. The silt fence was overwhelmed. Sediment is all over the place. The silt fence is collapsed. There is no real protection here, and you can see the stream below it has mud in it. Here's an example of sediment flowing onto property adjacent to the right-of-way, and there is sediment and evidence of sediment on the property downstream of the right-of-way. This is a very obvious example of sediment flowing into the stream. This is in Franklin County. It's the red clay soils of Franklin County, and you can see the stream is red with mud. And this will kill fish and aquatic life downstream very quickly. Here's another example of mud in the stream in Franklin County again. This is Keller's Creek in West Virginia. There's no erosion sediment controls on the slope. The fencing is failing in the foreground. Sediment is flowing down the slope and around the fence at the bottom of the slope itself and into the stream. In this picture, you can see the silt fence needs maintenance. Sediment has accumulated up to almost half the height of the silt fence itself, and it's flowing around the edges of the silt fence and downhill into the construction entrance. It's required that seeding is placed on soil stockpiles. On this example, you can see that there's no seed on these stockpiles. Here again is another problem area where the sediment is flowing around the compost filter sock and into the stream below the stream crossing. Again, you have another silt fence that needs maintenance. And you can see the outline of the silt up against the silt fence. This particular location is a real bad location. It's on a steep slope. The silt fence itself is not being maintained, but it's not in the right location. So it's improperly designed, improperly installed, and it needs maintenance. Here's an example of a construction entrance on a roadway where mud is washed out into the roadway itself. A case like this requires a VDOT inspection, and possibly the local sheriff could be called in to require the contractor to clean the mud off the roadway. They should have taken the mud off the roadway immediately after the rainfall. And then finally, we have an example here of another construction entrance failure. In the top view, you can see the construction entrance coming into Cahos Road, and it shows the area before it rained. On the right, you can see the same area after it rained, and there was mud as deep as 11 inches on the roadway itself. They pulled off 35 truckloads of sediment off the site. But also the sediment flowed downstream into Little Creek and the Blackwater River. And you can see the point trace as the red line crossing Little Creek. So it continued on down into the creeks and down into the Blackwater River. And with that, that's all we have for today. Thank you for your kind attention. We hope you've been able to learn a few things, and I will be available for further questions.